friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia if you are new, and this is the Feminine Fancy, where we talk about all things having to do with femininity, lifestyle, life and dating advice, and a little bit of motivation and inspirational content. So if those are things that you like, then I would so love it if you would click the red subscribe button and the notifications bell so that you can join our online community. It's gonna be a little noisy because my windows are open. I gotta let the air circulate, and I live on kind of a busy street, so I'm sorry if you end up hearing some cars every now and again. For today's video, I really wanted to talk about, okay. Of course it stops the second I stand up. Okay, hi. For today's video, I really want to talk about something that is really near and dear to my heart, and that is homemaking. I absolutely love homemaking. I love the concept, and I love it in practice as well. I think for me, with my feminine expression, and I've talked about this on my blog and also on Instagram as well, and I've had conversations in my DMs with many of you about this, but I really fall into two different sort of feminine archetypes. I really fall into the sort of free spirit, kind of like running around with like peasant dresses and, you know, barefoot. And then on the other hand, I am also very traditional, so kind of very prim and proper, and I appreciate more sort of traditional aspects of femininity as well. So those are my two very, I guess, focused archetypes. And one of the aspects of my traditional archetype that I really like is homemaking. I talked about homemaking a little bit. I actually talk about it more on my blog than I do on my channel because I do find that not as many people are interested in me talking about it as you are in me writing about it. So if you want more content on homemaking, more videos, let me know. I think also because I've just moved out, and prior to literally this month, I was living at home. It was kind of a weird tightrope to walk, essentially, because it was like I'm talking about homemaking, but I don't have my own home yet. So it was kind of weird. But now that I've moved out, I'm in my own apartment. I actually have been able to implement so many of the homemaking tips and tricks that I've learned throughout my life from my mom, and also that I really focused in on last year when homemaking became a really big thing. With the pandemic occurring, so many of us started to recognize the value and see the beauty in homemaking and just how important it is to create a space and an environment that you love, that you can thrive in, and that your family loves and that your family can thrive in. And so now that I'm on my own, I have really been able to implement some of these things, some of which you can see in my most recent vlog on Patreon, which, by the way, this video topic was also voted on by my patrons. So if you are not a patron but you want to be able to vote on my video topics or see my vlogs, head over to Patreon. I will leave the link in the description box below. The $3 tier is still an option. If you were worried you missed it, you did not miss it. You've still got time. I'm gonna grab my tea now. Okay, so the number one thing that I have learned, and that has been a huge theme in my life since moving out, has been preparation and just preparedness in general. So for example, I find that it makes my life so much easier to prep my dinner ingredients in the morning instead of having to do that in the evening and then also cook the meal. Same thing kind of goes for laundry. And this is something that I struggled with even when I didn't live on my own. And to be fair, I probably should have gotten a handle on this before I moved out. Separating your clothes out and having a load ready to go so that you don't have to sit there sorting for like an hour or however long, 30 minutes to an hour, you can just already have a load ready to go and throw in the washing machine. And then of course, coming back to food, because I love food. Meal prepping, obviously, is a huge thing. It's really an important theme in homemaking, and it's because honestly, you do spend so much time in the kitchen. If you're not cooking, you're cleaning, and vice versa. And I'm saying this like I am not a stay-at-home mom, I am not a stay-at-home wife. I am simply a woman who works and like also tries really hard to make all my food at home. And even with not having a family that I have to like cook an entire meal for, I still spend so much time in the kitchen. If you resonate with this at all, comment down below and let me know if you also spend just several hours in the kitchen. I feel like so much time is spent there either cooking, prepping, or cleaning. One of the things that I've learned is that if you can cut down on that time in any way, it's really going to help you reduce your stress levels, because there's so much else that has to be done. Something that I started last week is I will look on Pinterest and decide the meals that I want to make for the week on like Saturday, and then I'll do a big grocery shop. I love Whole Foods, as you guys know, and I am gluten and dairy free, but I'll do a big Whole Foods shop grab on Sunday so that I have all of my groceries, I'm prepared for the week, and I don't have to go back to the grocery store the rest of the week. I'm also on this kick right now, and this isn't necessarily about preparedness, but I'm also on this kick right now of like testing myself to see how long I can go without ordering in. And it's actually been really fun. The only reason why I order food in is because of lack of preparedness. Okay, so the next thing that I have learned is that it's super important to buy at least 2 of everything. And the reason why I don't say buy in bulk is because if you are a young woman and you're living on your own, you don't necessarily need things in bulk, right? Like you don't need, I mean, some things you do, like toilet paper, just buy it in bulk because you're gonna need it. Sometimes what I like to do when I'm shopping is actually sit down and do the math of like how much would this cost for me to buy just this singular item 50 times versus buying the bulk. And generally the bulk is going to be less expensive. But if you live in a small space, you also might not have the room to buy things in bulk. So just buy like 2, 3 of the same thing at a time. But I think just buying a couple things at a time is helpful, because when you run out of one, you don't have to worry about running to the store to grab just an individual second one. You already have it. But you don't necessarily need to buy things in bulk if it's just you living there by yourself. Okay, so now I want to talk about decor and like styling your apartment, your home in a way that feels really good, that feels really cozy, and that just makes you want to come back to it, because that is an element of homemaking, is that it generally is a place where like you want to come back to. Your home is meant to be your sanctuary. It's meant to be this sort of place where you just like you can thrive. You can get work done if you need to get work done. It's clean, it's picked up, but it also has a sort of energy of being really inviting and warm. And so with that comes decor. Everyone has a different vibe. As you guys know, for my apartment, and I also put this in the Patreon vlog as well, I have kind of gone with like a French provincial meets cottagecore vibe for this apartment. And I knew that that was what I wanted to do from the very beginning. So I think it's important that when you look at a space and that you're moving into, or that maybe you're already in, you kind of think about, okay, what's gonna be the vibe for this space? I think a lot of times the reason why people are so in awe at like other people's homes is because not everyone has the sort of inclination to think about how they want to design the space. And I think when it comes to homemaking, it's super important to think about how you want to design the space. Again, this is a place that you have to come back to. Sorry, my sleeve is like all rolled up. This is a place that you have to come back to. This is a place where you want to be able to host, you want to be able to have a nice time, feel very comfy and cozy. And so go on Pinterest, look for some inspo. Try not to be intimidated or feel insecure at the inspiration that you get from Pinterest. I've heard of like women feeling like, oh, nothing I do is good enough because it doesn't look like what it looks like on Pinterest. I don't think anyone ever intended for Pinterest to be that serious, okay? You're supposed to just look on there and get some ideas, right? Look for some inspo. What kind of vibe do you want your home to have? And you can sort of plan accordingly. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Most of everything that's in my apartment, I got at vintage shops. Many of you have asked on Instagram about my desk. It's so cute. I did get that from a vintage shop. There are some really awesome finds. I have an awesome side table that I got that I showed on Instagram. It's like, I'll show it here as well, but it's like gold. It's beautiful. From a vintage shop, $60, okay? So you can design your home in an affordable way just by having an idea of what you want it to look like, and just having an idea of what sort of vibe you want to feel and you want your guests to feel when they visit your home. Okay, so my next homemaking tip I actually learned from a podcast that I binged last week. It is called the Modern Homemaker Podcast. The host of it actually doesn't make episodes anymore, which is so sad to me, but she did did do one season and then like 2 episodes in a second season. And she had an episode where different people sent in homemaking tips that they learned from their moms. And one of the tips was to clean your drain with baking soda and vinegar. And the reason why I really like this tip is because if you'll recall in one of my last videos, I talked about how you don't want to just throw Drano down your drains because it can ruin the pipes. And so this is a way that you can sort of keep the maintenance up of your drain and your pipes and everything. You can clean it in this way and keep it functional. You don't have to get to the point where you need to pour Drano down the drain. But I thought that was a nice little tip because I did not know that. I didn't know you could clean your drains with baking soda and vinegar, and apparently that is a thing. So also, if you're into more holistic homemaking, which I think many of us are, I definitely am on that side of things. I try to leave sort of like bleach and stuff like that as a last resort. So if you're on the more holistic side of things, that's like a natural sort of cleaning hack for you. But if you want to binge that podcast, I will leave the link down below. I love the host. Her name's Lisa. She's British, and it's just, I mean, she had me at the episode called How to Host a Proper Tea Party. I was like, I'm sold. On the same topic of cleaning, when it comes to your windows and those little corners that are really difficult to get, I was cleaning the other day and I put on my Instagram stories like, you guys, how the heck are you supposed to get these corners? And I got so many great tips. One of which was, of course, to use like an old toothbrush or to buy, get like $1 toothbrushes from the dollar store and use them specifically for cleaning little areas like this. Or I even heard using a Q-tip and like dipping it in cleaning solution, and that's how you can clean those little those tiny little sections, corners of your windows and doors and things like that, because those are really the areas where we miss, and those are the things that we forget about. Putting effort into those little things that maybe the average person can't see, but that you can. And my final tip when it comes to homemaking is not to wait for motivation. And I actually think that this is a good tip for literally everything. I even considered making an entire video about this because I do think it's super, super true. Like, we're not always going to feel motivated to do things, right? Like, that's just not a thing. I think motivation is a feeling, and like feelings, it comes and it goes. Sometimes we feel very motivated, sometimes we don't. And also, if you are a woman, sometimes during your cycle, you're gonna feel very upbeat, very motivated, very go-getter, and then other times during your cycle, you're gonna feel not as motivated and you're gonna want to rest and sort of go really slowly, right? So we can't really rely on motivation to do things. And I think when it comes to homemaking, especially like keeping your house clean and tidy, don't wait for motivation to strike to like do the dishes or put the dishes away or clean the bathroom. Any of those sorts of things that are kind of like tedious and not the most fun. You're not gonna feel motivation to do it. It's just not gonna come. A tip that I really like, this is a very well-known homemaking tip at this point, I think, is to set a 15-minute timer and then just do whatever your task is in 15 minutes. And it's kind of like a fun game because you time yourself, you see if you can get it done in the 15 minutes, and generally you can. Overall, I would say just don't wait for motivation to strike. It may never come. Wait, I forgot. I have one more tip. This one's important. I feel like it's very necessary for me to mention about safety because I truly believe that you can't feel truly at home in your home or in your space if you don't take safety into account. And so this is a little trick that I kind of came up with recently, and I know that I'm not the first one to think of these things, but I didn't see it anywhere else. I kind of just made it up. And that is, if you are going to order in, if you're going to order takeout, there are a couple things that you can do in order to sort of protect yourself and protect your safety. First things first, you can use a different name than your actual name. I will use a different name every time when I do order takeout, just so that, I don't want anyone to be keeping tabs on who lives here or what her name is. In the same vein, when you order takeout, or if you order anything really, have them leave it on the front porch, watch them drive away, and then go grab your package, your food, whatever it is. Again, these are just safety precautions to take if you are a woman living on your own, or even if you are living with a boyfriend or your husband or whatever. It's just really important to take safety into consideration when you have your own space. Make sure your doors are locked at night before you go to bed. Take those little precautions. They don't seem like much, but they are really important. And so that's it for my tips, but I do want to just say a special little message at the end of this video here, and that is that if you're currently living at home and you feel like you can't experience homemaking in the way that you want because you don't have your own place yet, or you still live with your parents, or you live in a dorm room, or whatever the case may be, don't let that stop you from experiencing the joy of homemaking. And this was something I struggled with living at home, but I still tried really hard to maintain my space and to really pour into the elements of homemaking that I really enjoy. So I mean, I'll be completely honest, for me, like the cleaning part is not my favorite part, but I love baking. And so I really took that to heart and found a way to use my love for baking and my sort of talent for baking and have that be a gift and use that to sort of bless my household and my family members. So even though I wasn't living on my own, I still found elements of homemaking that I could participate in being still at home with my parents. So I just want to encourage you that if you don't have your own space yet, don't worry, your time is coming. Everything's going to work out in the perfect timing, I absolutely promise. But don't allow that sort of mindset of, well, I don't have this yet, so I can't do X, Y, and Z yet, to stop you from having fun being your own homemaker. If you want to wear an apron in your kitchen, wear an apron. If you want to wear an apron in like the door in the university like mess hall kitchen. I know at my university there was like a general kitchen that everyone could use. If like you can implement traditional elements of homemaking wherever you are, you just have to be confident in yourself within that, and you just have to have faith and know that someday you will be able to be a homemaker in your own home. Well, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the different tips and secrets that I shared with you. If you did, it would mean so much to me if you would give this video a thumbs up and comment down below some of your favorite homemaking secrets, because I am still learning and I would love to know some of the things that you have learned if you are a homemaker or if you're just interested in this topic. So please leave a comment down below. I would love to read them. If you want to see more of me and more of my content, you can head to first my website at thefemininefancy.com and read my blog posts. I've also been putting recipes up there that I have been making and enjoying. And I have a homemaking sort of tab on the blog section. And you can also follow me on Instagram at _thefemininefancy_. I have a highlight called Homemaking as well. Also, I will leave references and links to some of my favorite homemakers here on YouTube and on the interwebs in general, so that you can have so much inspo for your home, whatever that may be, whether it's a dorm room or your bedroom at your parents' house, whatever it is. I got you covered with the inspo. Those will be in the description box below, along with the link for my Patreon. Okay, now that's the end of the video. I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.